Okay, so I wanted to hop on real quick and show how I use Obsidian for my note taking and to-do list management. I got a couple questions about it, and so I wanted to cover it real quick. Um, First off, what is Obsidian? Obsidian is just a Markdown text editor that allows you to connect different Markdown texts together by doing two hard brackets like so, and then providing the name of the Markdown file that you want to connect it to. This is very useful. There's also a visual that you can reference that shows all the little connections that you have in your Obsidian Vault. The Obsidian Vault is just a folder that you specify that will contain all the markdown files for your Obsidian in that folder. And so people go a little bit crazy with this whole connection thing, like they create second brains and store knowledge in crazy ways. But personally, I keep it very simple because I'm not a big note taker like that. I want to be. I've been looking into different note organization methods such as Zettelkasten and Para, but at the moment I just like keeping it simple. As you can see from my file organization, like I have two folders to organize things. It's going to be a projects folder that holds all the current and upcoming projects that I want to work on. My notes hold all the things I want to remember and the things that I'm learning. Currently, it's just all programming notes. And so I want to expand this to hold my other hobbies and things like that. But for now, that's all I have. I have things like Django, Rust, Neovim on there, but I want to expand it more when I get better at note taking. And I have an Excalidraw directory because I was experimenting with the Excalidraw plugin, but I'll probably delete this. And a good thing about Obsidian is you can customize it really how you like. There's a big plugin ecosystem for Obsidian, which is really cool. I personally don't use it. I don't use any plugins for Obsidian. I just have a Capuchin color scheme on here. What I really use it for is this to-do list. And in this to-do list, I pretty much just have a task prioritization and then a archive section. And pretty much I dump all my tasks into this do eventually subsection. And then throughout the day or week, I just divvy up these tasks into do next week, do this week, hand off, and do today. And so if it's in due today, I'll do it that day. If I don't finish it, I toss it into handoff. If I clear out this section, I move things up so that everything is getting done in order. And it's a system that works pretty good for me. A big benefit of using Obsidian for this method is because you have connections, you can connect tasks as different markdowns. So I have this Obsidian video task that I'm doing right now. If I click on it, then I have all the like video notes I want to cover, the to-do list that I want for this, who asked me the question, and yeah, so pretty cool. But I actually don't use the Obsidian application itself. I never open up this application. I use obsidian.nvim, which is a Neovim plugin for Obsidian that looks something like this. And pretty much I just have it in a tmux session. So I have a tmux session named notes right here. And in this session, it is opened up in my Obsidian vault. In this vault, you can see that the organization is the exact same, right? I have my two directories to organize things, my to-do list, and then connected markdowns that are connected to my to-do list that I will organize later when I complete them. And so a benefit of this is that it integrates exactly with all the key bindings I'm already used to. So for example, if I go into a connection like my Obsidian video, if I go into there, I'm inside another markdown file and I can go back using telescope, right? So I can open my buffers and head back to my to-do list, right? I can also search through my files with telescope. I can also grep through it with telescope. I can use different plugins that I'm used to, like Leap, to hop around and mess with files really fast. So it provides a lot of utility for me, even though it is pretty much just a markdown editor, right? There's a bunch of different apps that do this exact same thing. Like you can do this exact same thing in Notion, even a normal to-do app, but I prefer it in Obsidian because it integrates with the workflow that I'm already used to. And secondly, it is right there, right? I'm always in my terminal working in Tmux. So it's very easy for me to go up to my notes session and just edit my notes as I see fit, right? Like I tried using Notion before. I use Google Calendar and all these different apps, but these are separate apps that you kind of have to be mindful of and connect and like open it up when you want to check something. Whereas this Obsidian plugin in Neovim is just right there, so I can reference it. I never forget about it, so it works perfectly for me and my workflow. A couple annoying things, well, not really annoying, but kind of unfortunate things that would be cool to have is just maybe a couple more visuals, like a calendar. A graph view would be nice built into the terminal, but it's not really a deal breaker for me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll also cover how I set it up. So I use Lazy as my package manager, and I have 3 folders in a markdown.lua file. And pretty much the way I set it up is everything is its default. I keep it very simple. This is the Obsidian plugin. All you have to do is specify your Obsidian vault path so it knows which vault you are trying to look at. You can create multiple vaults, but I just have one. I have 2 other plugins. One is called Pretty Markdown. This is for this is to make your markdown files look pretty. I have it disabled right now because I don't have it configured to my liking, but just to give it an example, I can set this to true. And if you set it to true, you got to disable this UI. And if I head back to my notes, right, I can refresh this. Oh, what's going on? I can refresh this and then it looks a little bit different, right? It doesn't look that great, but that's really on me. Like the examples in the docs for this plugin look pretty nice. I just haven't configured it that well yet. And then I have a markdown previewer, which is pretty much, if I go back to my notes and I do markdown preview, it's going to open up the markdown in my default browser, right? So that's pretty much it. That's how I use Obsidian, and hopefully that was helpful.